Hey everybody, happy Sunday. I hope that wherever you are and whatever you are doing, you are safe, you are well, and you are with someone you care about who also cares about you. There's a chipmunk just off camera over there and it's distracting me. So if I keep looking in that direction, it's because it's hecking cute, okay? Now you may notice that I'm wearing exactly the same outfit that I was wearing in last week's Sunday Musing, and that's because I've literally just recorded last week's Sunday Musing and I'm recording this week's now. I'm doing it back to back. I know we try not to do that, but I'm doing it back to back because we're going to be taking off the entire Thanksgiving week. We all need a break and it's important that we rest and recuperate. And I hope that if you are in a place where Thanksgiving was celebrated, you got time off as well. And if you're not somewhere where Thanksgiving is observed, well, I hope you had a relaxing week and you can look forward to some time off with friends and family very soon. Many people go, oh, Americans, they have it easy. They take Thanksgiving off and then they have Christmas. No, honestly, Thanksgiving in the US is treated as being more important than Christmas. And then Christmas, if you're lucky, you'll get Christmas Day, and then you'll get New Year's Day, but that's it. There's no given. If you are in a job where the office will shut down, then you probably do get, from Christmas all the way through until the New Year off. That's what we're going to be doing at TE, but it's not a given. So, it's more important. Thanksgiving is more important in the US. And I didn't realize that until I moved here. But if you're watching from outside the US, you may not know that. So I thought I'd just share. Anyway, today's Sunday Musing is one that is focused on the matter of increased cost of charging. Now, I have been on Reddit, I have been on owners forums, I have been reading your messages to our videos, and you're all saying the same thing, and I'm experiencing it too. The cost to charge an EV is soaring, and it's not just about the cost at home. I know electricity prices here in the Pacific Northwest have gone up considerably in the last few years, and we are currently rushing to pay off our solar panels so that hopefully within a year we only have to pay our electricity bill and not our electricity bill plus what remains of the solar loan that we took out to put the solar panels on the roof of our home, and that will obviously lower our overall energy costs. But when you are out and about and you are stopped at a public charging station, whether it's a Tesla supercharger or an EV Go or a charge point or whatever your local charging network happens to be, I am sure you have noticed that the price to charge has gone up. Now, in most of the US now, electricity is charged per kilowatt hour. There are a couple of places in the US where they still charge by a unit of time. That's because of local laws that were originally intended to protect utility companies that say only utility companies can sell electricity by the kilowatt hour. But in most places you now pay per kilowatt hour. And on my recent road trip to LA, which is now just about a month and a half ago, we stopped at some charging stations where the costs to charge were astronomical in my opinion. On one occasion I think we stopped, it was $3 for a connection fee and then $1 per kilowatt hour, or near as damn it. And obviously if you're driving something like a Chevy Bolt with a 60-ish kilowatt hour battery pack, if your battery is nearly empty when you pull up and you want it to be like 80% when you leave, then you're going to be looking at $40 to $50 to fill up. Now, if you're driving something larger, like the F-150 Lightning, or maybe a Lucid Air sedan, or maybe a Hummer EV with, especially the Hummer EV with 200 plus kilowatt hours on board if you have the max range variant, it's $200 to fill up your EV to go down the road. And I've seen lots of people who are not necessarily EV advocates looking at that and going, I'm just going to go back to gas. The cost benefit, the cost analysis of owning an EV, I can't make it work because I don't charge at home or I don't have access to at-home charging, and therefore I'm having to use fast chargers, and the cost to charge where I live is just so expensive, it's actually cheaper for me to buy gasoline. That might be true in parts of the US now. I haven't seen any empirical data to back that up. And if you want us to do a proper analysis on that at some point in the future, let me know, because I have my doubts. I still find it difficult to to grok that would actually be true. And the only way I could imagine that being true is if you absolutely never use a level 2 charger and you only ever use a fast charger. And that would mean that you never plug in when you're at a shopping mall and there's a level 2 charger available. You only ever use a fast charger. And I find that difficult to comprehend. I think most EV owners, if faced with a choice between a slow charger and not charging, will pick the slow charger. But I mean, I know that I'm not representative of the general populace. I've been driving EVs for over 18 years. My question to you today, though, is how much is too much? At what point does fast charging fees become so cost prohibitive that you go, you know what, I'm just not going to bother, or I'm going to find somewhere else? I think personally, once it gets up to about 65, 70 cents per kilowatt hour here in the Pacific Northwest, that's really starting to hurt. And I realized on my road trip that living in Oregon, which has no sales tax, actually breaks me when I'm traveling elsewhere in the US. So if you don't know, Oregon and I think one other state in the union doesn't charge sales tax. We have higher income taxes, but we don't charge sales tax. And that means that when you go and buy something, the price you see advertised listed is the price you pay. And coming from the UK, that's something that we had in the UK growing up. But in other states, they list the price without tax. And then when you go to the checkout to buy the thing, they add tax. So it's always more expensive when you actually check out than what is listed. And that's true also for EV charging. So if you go somewhere and they tell you that it's 50 cents per kilowatt hour, it's not actually 50 cents per kilowatt hour if you are in a state where they add tax on top. And that can mean that your charging sessions cost even more. So I'm curious as to what your maximum charge rate is. Maybe you live somewhere in Europe, maybe you live somewhere in Asia, maybe you live in the Southern Hemisphere somewhere, and you have a different deal on charging to what we have here in the US. And maybe you haven't seen massive rises in electricity costs. But interestingly, in the last week, I've seen charging companies reach out to owners of specific EVs going, hey, we've reached a deal with your automaker. GM has just done one with EVgo. They go, we'll give you preferential rates for the next 3 years for your EV if you use our charging network. And that, I think, is partly because there's competition for EV charging networks now that we didn't have 3 or 4 years ago. So, you know, it's very common now when I'm on a road trip to turn up somewhere where there are Tesla superchargers, there is an EVgo, there's maybe an Electrify America, there's maybe a charge point across the lot somewhere else within reach. And at that point, these networks are all competing for your competition. And very often, customers are going either to the network that the manufacturer of their vehicle has a deal with, i.e. you get preferential rates, or they'll go to the charging station operated by the company that they have at that point in history had fewest troubles with. So we've stopped using EA stations because their reputation for not working is quite common. I mean, I've used probably about a half dozen EA stations in the last 6 months, and I've had about a 50% success rate, whereas other networks, other stations have been much better. I'm actually now using Rivian Charging Network where possible. Yes, I do sometimes use Tesla superchargers if there are no other options, but ChargePoint, while ChargePoint chargers generally are slower overall, they don't have a higher peak charging rate for my vehicles. I find that actually they're often the most reliable and the easiest to use. So it really is swings and roundabouts. But anyway, I'm getting cold. I'm sure that you have more fun things to do than watch me babble. So let me know what your too expensive rate is for EV charging. At what point do you look at that and go, yeah, you know what? I'm not going to bother. I've still got 20 miles in the tank. I'm going to try and limp home and charge at home. Or no, there's another charger down the street. I'm just going to go and use them. They charge less, even though I'm going to have to drive maybe slightly differently to get there. Or maybe you just go, you know what? That charging is just too much. I'm going to take an alternative means of transport. Let me know in the down below. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and I'll see you back here this time next week. Thanks for watching today. You can connect with us on Patreon, Discord, Mastodon, Blue Sky, or through our website. Massive thanks to the amazing folks scrolling by right now. You are the reason we can stay independent and keep making content without corporate influence. Want to see your name listed here too? Support starts at just $1.50 a month, and you can now even gift memberships. And of course, a massive welcome to our newest members: Adam B, Andrew Brown, Tiara Graves, Philip Jackson, Dieter Mulhop, Noor Naif, Annie Onimus, Todd Plenis, Barus Sharati, Andrei Starsky, Ralph Stultz, Richard Teague, Triple A He They, Lisa Vargi, Vicky Morales, Magpie Motors, and Travis Whitman. Thank you for joining up to support the channel. At this particular time in history when everyone's feeling the pinch, we are so grateful that you've joined the team, and that allows us to keep making great content. If you'd like to join them, you'll find our Patreon link below, or you can sign up via YouTube. If you're signing up for Patreon though, please go to the Patreon website. Do not use the Apple or Google app, since both take a big cut that hurts your wallet and reduces the income we receive. Prefer a one-off contribution? We've got Ko-fi, Bitcoin, a PO box, our swag store, and even an Amazon affiliate link, all great ways to make sure your money helps us. We post new videos every few days on the main channel, plus extras over on TE Take 2. And since YouTube comments, while open, aren't safe for us, the best way to chat with the team is through Patreon, Mastodon, Blue Sky, or our website, or in fact, our Discord chat. If you want more, the mighty algorithm thinks you'll like this video, but we'd love you to check out this one instead. Be awesome, be kind, be intentional, and never forget to resist. Keep evolving.